Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
A River Rouge police officer is suing her bosses tonight for $2 million, claiming sexual harassment and racial discrimination. Thanks for being here with us for the News at 6. I'm Kimberly Gill.
I'm Devin Skillian. River Rouge Police Department is a small one, mostly male. Its first ever female police officer says she is mistreated daily on the job. Rod Maloney live tonight to take us through the claims in a big money lawsuit, Rod.
Yeah, Devin, you know, I want to make a correction to what I wrote there, and it said she says she was the first ever black female police officer in the department, but the lawsuit says that they want $2 million because she has been relentlessly harassed by her management, by the chief, and by another one of his officers who is a supervisor for her. And it's also a situation where police officers there are both police officers and firefighters, and she said her life has been miserable trying just to do her job.
It's just become unbearable at this point.
Officer Rosa Holly started with the department as a police dispatcher and did the job for 4 years. The former female police chief, who has since died, encouraged her to become a full-time police officer. And because the police also work as firefighters, she qualified and took a full-time job. But she says her life changed for the worse when the new police chief, Roberto Cruz, took over.
It's like 1930 Mississippi.
Attorney Michael Fortner represents Officer Holly along with attorney Anthony Adams. He says that she's getting racially disparate treatment and worse, getting sexually harassed as well.
She's got tons of text messages and from superior officers threatening her, on the other hand, asking her out for dates and making sexual suggestions. And so what she's gone through, no woman should have to go through in today's day and age.
Officer Holly claims the department's leadership deliberately punishes her for things she didn't do, like take police equipment home, shortchanged her on clothing allowance, and then cited her for not wearing proper uniform clothing, and even improperly accused her of misusing the police gasoline card.
I would like to be able to do the job that I love in the city that I love without being harassed and mistreated and scrutinized.
Now, one of the things she also says is that she, as a female officer, does not have separate quarters, that essentially she has to change clothing in with the men. There's no woman's room there. She says she has to go home in order to do all of that. Now, to be clear, we went directly to the River Rouge Police Department. I went into the police department and asked for the chief. He was in a meeting. Then next door in the building, we went to see the mayor. I dropped in, asked to see the mayor. He was also in a meeting. I left a card. We called back another time to try and get some kind of comment from the River Rouge Police Department and the city itself, and no one responded. Reporting live in Southfield, Rod Maloney. Back to you.
Yeah, all right, Rod.
The Samantha Wohl murder case is moving forward. The Wayne County Prosecutor's Office has received a warrant request. That's a legal step before potentially issuing charges. Wohl, a prominent member of the local Jewish community, was stabbed to death at her Detroit home in late October. Police did make another arrest back in November, but that suspect was later released.
When James and Jennifer Crumbley are tried for involuntary manslaughter next month, prosecutors will not be able to present videos their son made of himself killing birds. Lawyers for Jennifer Crumbley argued she never knew about the videos prior to the Oxford High School shooting that killed 4 students. A judge agreed and applied the ruling to her husband's trial as well. And just days after being sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, the Oxford school shooter has been moved now from the Oakland County Jail to the Thumb Correctional Facility. That's in Lapeer, and he will remain there until he turns 18, when he'll be sent to a permanent facility.
A woman on the west side of the state will likely spend the rest of her life in prison for a crash that killed 2 people who were out cycling for charity. Mandy Marie Ben will serve 2 consecutive sentences of 35 to 60 years for the deaths of Edward Erickson of Ann Arbor and Michael Selaney of Bloomfield Hills. Crash happened in Ionia County in July of 2022 as the victims were taking part in a 300-mile bicycle tour for Make-A-Wish. 3 other cyclists were injured. Ben was intoxicated by painkillers and anxiety medications that had not been prescribed to her.
Those aren't the actions of somebody that was looking out for their fellow human being, whether they were safe to drive. Those are the actions of somebody that was high, about as could be, maybe. I think we could phrase it that way.
When Ben got a chance to speak in court, she said she was sorry. The judge told her his priority in sentencing her to so many years is to deter others from getting behind the wheel impaired.
A Santa scam you need to be aware of is targeting shoppers here in Metro Detroit. Someone who looks like jolly old St. Nick is doing nothing more than ripping people off. Consumer investigator Hank Winchester live tonight with a warning about these counterfeit Kris Kringles, and this is just so depressing to even talking about, Hank.
Yeah, it really is, Devin. But I mean, you know, it's a new scam, a new twist, and these thieves taking advantage of your generosity. It is the holiday season. So in some cases, these thieves just donning a Santa cap, going door to door, standing on sidewalks, asking for donations. And unfortunately, they're getting a lot of money. It's the holiday season, and many people right now seeking out their favorite charitable organization. Do we see scams like these rise during the holiday season? Because we're all in a mood of giving and,
right,
you know.
Right. Well, and year-end giving is generally on somebody's plan. So scammers are looking at the fact that people want to give at the end of the year. They have to give because of taxes. The scammers are going after everybody and anybody that will give them money.
But we've learned fake Santa scammers are looking to rip you off, either going door to door or worse yet, pretending they're affiliated with the Salvation Army, holding a bucket in hand, standing on a sidewalk, asking for your hard-earned cash.
99% of the time where they have no materials, they can't direct you to a website, and you've never heard of them before, it's probably money going to a place that you didn't expect it to.
These scammers have been targeting neighborhoods with seniors in areas like Pontiac and Waterford. If they show up on your door, have your story ready.
If you don't expect anybody at your front door, don't answer it. If it's really important, like it's your UPS delivery, they're going to leave you a note. If they needed your signature, they'll leave you a note and you call them.
I spoke with the Salvation Army today. They've had problems with this in years past, people posing as bell ringers or using the good name of the Salvation Army to collect donations. Of course, if you spot somebody and it just does not seem right, contact police right away. I understand that the bell ringers also will have identification, and if you have concerns about the person who may be collecting, you can also contact the Salvation Army directly. We're live here tonight. Hank Winchester, help me, Hank, Local 4.
Unfortunate warning to have to bring. All right, Hank. Yep.
Really is. Less incarceration and more rehabilitation for young people. That's the aim of a package of bills signed into law today, reforming Michigan's juvenile justice system. Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist led a task force that helped write the bills, which he signed today. One bill requires risk screening and mental health screening to determine if juveniles might be put into a diversion program as an alternative to detention. It also requires keeping them in those diversion programs for no more than 3 months. Wayne and Oakland counties have led the way on this restorative justice approach. The new laws make those services more consistent through the state.
This stands in a stark contrast to the approach confining our youth to residential facilities, an approach that data has shown does not better our youth's outcomes. With the signing of these bills today, we are fundamentally altering the outcomes and the trajectory for our youth and juveniles in Michigan.
One of the bills adopted today eliminates most of the fines and fees assessed to juvenile defendants, thereby easing the financial burdens on their families, many of which already face significant hardship.
There are stronger signs that inflation is easing. For the first time since January of 2022, the rate of food price hikes is not outpacing the overall inflation rate. And you've probably noticed lower prices at the gas pump. Encouraging trend, but a closer look at the numbers reveals prices in some areas do keep rising. Stocks inching higher during the trading day Tuesday after the release of new figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics continue to show inflation is easing. The latest consumer price index rose 3.1% for the 12 months ending in November, showing a slight decline from the 3.2% in October.
Compared to pre-pandemic levels, prices are still higher. The good news is that inflation peaked a long time ago.
Gas prices sank 5.8% from October, driving the drop in the CPI. But the cost of shelter still shows no signs of easing.
We still have higher costs for shelter and services overall, so there's still a bit of a battle going on out there with respect to prices.
Food prices, on the other hand, moderated from the month before. With inflation down nearly 2/3 from its peak of 9.1% last June, President Biden is celebrating progress.
America's had the strongest growth and now is the lowest inflation of any major economy in the world, but there's more to do.
When stripping out more volatile components like food and gas prices, core CPI rose 0.3% from October, leaving the year-over-year growth rate unchanged at 4%, the lowest it's been since September of 2021.
Inflation has moderated somewhat more quickly than expected of late, and so we could get a pleasant surprise that inflation is not nearly the factor that we might have thought in the coming year.
Now, something to keep an eye on, tomorrow's release of the Producer Price Index. That will serve as the final piece of economic data the Fed will rely on for its next policy decision on what to do regarding interest rates.
All right, let's see what's happening with our forecast as we take a live look outside our beautiful downtown shot there. Just a gorgeous day, a little bit windy, but mild for December.
It really has been pretty nice, and we got the sun today as well, Kim.
I know. I don't really know what to do with myself if nobody's complaining about the weather. No one really even wants to talk to me. 38 downtown, 35 at Metro Airport, 37 out to our west. And it looks like temperatures will continue to drop as we go through the next several hours because we just don't have any clouds. And so all that heat during the day just escapes into the atmosphere. 31 mile-per-hour winds this afternoon in downtown Detroit. The winner of the day, the highest gusts, Pontiac had a 32 mile-per-hour wind gust, 29 mile-per-hour gust out at the airport. So it was definitely a windy day. Now tomorrow, temperatures will not be as warm as they were today by about 4 or 5 degrees. We made it into the low 40s today. Tomorrow we'll stay in the upper 30s. But it might feel exactly the same to you because the winds are going to be calmer tomorrow, and the help of that sunshine will make it feel pretty nice outside. We're not done there. The warmest air of the week yet to come. We could be close to 50. I'll tell you when in a few minutes.